Okay, folks, I got an update for you in the case of the Rippaverse failure to communicate. The video that I posted yesterday regarding the fact that it looked like online retailers were being excluded from the retailer pool that could contract with Rippaverse to sell Rippaverse books. The retailer page literally says brick and mortar shops only, online retailers will not be approved. So my online retailer, which happens to be mycomicshop.com, informed me that because that's what's on the retailer page, then that's the final word as far as they know. They were able to sell Eric July's books before, but now they can't. Well, I managed to communicate with Eric July yesterday on his live stream, and as it turns out, he was unaware that the retailer page said that. The retailer page was supposed to have language on it to say that brick and mortar shops are good, and also legitimate online retailers are good. But fake online retailers, such as people who just basically have an eBay store from which they sell things, they don't actually have a comic book business, a retailer's business. They're just going and trading stuff as an individual. That is not something that he would want to enter into any kind of retailer type business relationship with, because then the person's getting retailer rates. So in order to actually apply on the retailer page, you have to go through some sort of vetting process. But to try and save time, somebody made the mistake of putting on the retailer page, brick and mortar shops only, online retailers will not be approved. And I made sure that Eric knew that mycomicshop.com views itself as an online retailer, and consequently was taking that warning to mean, well, they could basically go fly a kite. So I communicated with mycomicshop.com to let them know that he actually was open to continuing the relationship that they'd had. I let him know that that I had made communications with them to let them know about the miswording that was on the retailer page. So it's all good news all around. I mean, it was just basically a misunderstanding that was caused by something that was improperly phrased. I just think it's a little bit on the ironic side, and of course I can't attribute the wording that was on the retailer page to Eric, because he wasn't involved in crafting that particular sentence. He wasn't aware that sentence was on there about online retailers will not be approved. But it does just kind of give me a grin about how easy it is when you're not careful with your words, when you're not careful with your art, maybe, when you're not careful with the color of a truck, maybe, when you're not careful with the position of stairs, how easy it is to actually miscommunicate to people what it is that you were intending to communicate. So it's always important to have people give things a second look, to have other people with an editorial eye give things a second look, so that you don't go off and accidentally send the wrong message, which I think in this case was costing him money, because I'm sure Lone Star, Lone Star was my comic shop's old name, and I still revert back to that on occasion. But I'm sure that my comic shop was looking at ISOM thinking, I don't know what we did, but gosh, we'd sure like to sell some books for him. And all of a sudden, these money-making opportunities just went poof. So I'm hoping that all of the friendly communication and relationships get restored back. It's too late for me, because I've already gone and made my purchase from the Rippaverse.com website myself, so I won't be able to use my store credit towards mycomicshop.com's copies, which is what I had originally intended, but whatever. As some people helpfully pointed out, I can use that store credit towards other things. I know it's not earmarked for ISOM number 2 or any other Rippaverse books. I can spend it on other things. I have spent it on other things. You can go check out my unboxing videos for examples of the things that I have bought from my comic shop using credit, or even using my own money. No, I'm not broke. I could actually pay for the ISOM comics myself if I want to. I just felt like since I've got insufficient funds on hand, then yeah, I would have liked to have used those instead, the store credit funds instead of the my actual money. You know, it's amazing how unhelpful some of the comments can be when it comes to the Rippaverse Goalposts feed, and all the people who basically Rippaverse Goalposts is actually telling them it's like he has store credit. He was wanting to buy it with the store credit. It's like, well, what? Can he not afford them? You know, can he not just pay for it? It's like he has store credit. He just wanted to be able to use the store credit. Oh, I guess the guy's broke. Like, good God. Oh Jesus! I wish I could monetize my haters. Um, but yeah, so this is one of those instances where obviously there was a miscommunication. It was an understandable mistake, but somebody should have been kind of on the lookout and on the review. And I'm hoping I'm not going to wind up feeling the same way about ISOM number 2 now that I'm finally going to get a chance to look at that. So. I've already heard a bit about, it's a little couple of technical errors about maybe there was a word inserted here, an extra word, or a word taken out, or something like that. Those kinds of things don't actually bother me as much because I know how easy it is to overlook that kind of stuff. Like I remember, in the first issue of ISOM number 1, there was a word that got inserted in the wrong place when Darren was giving his speech toward the end of the book. And I just completely overlooked it myself. I was embarrassed to say, I just, it all blended together for me. So those are the kinds of things that are understandable. And there's other understandable things, but it's the other kind of stuff where I'm like, if somebody had been really looking at this and thinking, I know nothing about the book, what are they trying to communicate to me, and how are they succeeding? How are they failing? Those are the kinds of things that I intend to pull out of ISOM number 2, assuming that there's anything there. Hey, for all I know, it's going to be a perfect book. Perfect! Perfect in every way! Yeah, well, at least I hope I get down from like 13 to 6 videos or something like that, because my goodness, those things can take a lot out of you. But I'm actually getting to the point of looking forward to it. I can feel the excitement starting to build some. I did kind of experience kind of a lull in all of the excitement because it's so hard to wait for these things. And I'll tell you what. When it comes to the later Rippaverse books, whether it's Alpha Core, whether it's Yaira, whether it's ISOM number 3, I tell you this much. I'm not going to bother waiting to try and get those copies from my online retailer in the future, just because it just takes too long. I mean, by the time that everybody has gone through and given their own reviews. I mean, I don't even know if anybody cares what I think about ISOM number 2 anymore. I have had some encouragement, some positive words dropped from some of my YouTube compatriots out there, so I do appreciate that encouragement. But man, I mean, it's one of those things where I feel like probably everybody out there has had their say already. And I don't know if it turns out to be a good book, then maybe I'm not going to have a whole heck of a lot to contribute. That's going to be kind of worrisome. I'm going to have to be, well, thankfully, Ethan Van Sciver is supposed to be, at some point, someday, God only knows when, sending me 4 Cyberfrog books to look at. It's supposed to be Cyberfrog 2 Wrecked Planet, Cyberfrog Heartsick Horror, Salamandroid Death Sting, and Cyberfrog Deleted Scenes, Wrecked Planet Deleted Scenes. So all 4 of those, I mean, those should keep me in review material for a while, although I just realized, oh my gosh, I don't have multiple copies of those on the way such that I can cannibalize some of those for scans. So my videos on those might wind up looking a little primitive. Either that, well, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do in that case. I mean, with the case of ISOM number 2, I will have 2 copies coming on the way. We know what's going to happen to one of them, and that poor thing, I feel bad for it. It's probably excited about getting read, but it's not really going to be a reading copy. And but that'll at least provide me with decent scans so I can say, here's what I think should have happened or what should have been said. And then after I'm done with ISOM number 2, I'm actually going to go back to ISOM number 1 in light of what we have been shown in ISOM number 2, and I'm going to do another series on that because now that I have scans that I can use for ISOM number 1, because the live stream I mentioned previously, I can go through and show exactly what I mean in various cases, because I think part of the reason that a lot of people have been dismissing my concerns is that they don't really see what it is that I'm talking about. They don't really see the art flubs, the coloring flub, the lettering flub. They can't see it for themselves. And so if I have a scan, then I can modify the scan, show it side by side, and say, here's what I think should have been done in this particular case. Kind of like I did with, not exactly the same way, but kind of like I did with Graham Nolan's Ghosts of Matacumba Key preview. That video is still probably one of my favorites in terms of me being able to show you in real time, this is how I think this panel should have looked, here's how I think this dialogue should have gone, and I could just basically lay in the words and lay in the little adjustments to the artwork to make things visible. And so as I go through ISOM number 2 and then going back to ISOM number 1, that's what I plan on doing, is putting all the stuff together in a way that you can visually see what it is I'm thinking, what it is that's going through my mind when I look at these pages. And hopefully that'll kind of get you a better picture of why it is I'm critiquing these things the way that I do. So that's just a little light ramble for tonight. I'm just happy that it looks like Rippaverse and MyComicShop.com and all of the other online retailers out there who have felt excluded on account of the miscommunication on the retailer page are probably going to be reestablishing their lines of connections. I'm sure he and his marketing department will be reaching out to those retailers saying, hey, if you saw this on our website, that was just bad wording, we didn't mean to exclude you, please do apply if you haven't already, and if you don't already have an account with us, please come on board, because I think there's probably a lot of untapped sales out there that you can use to generate more income and use to generate more books. I hear he's got no shortage of ideas spilling out of Chuck Dixon. My gosh, that guy's already turned in at least 2 different unsolicited, well, I don't know if it was unsolicited projects, but they were unplanned projects at the time that Eric brought Chuck on board. So it's exciting to see that a creator like Chuck Dixon is enthusiastic about the Rippaverse the way that he is, and hopefully we will see more creators who have been kind of left on the side of the road being brought under the umbrella of the Rippaverse so that we can start getting a lot of more projects. Because one of the things that I'm noticing, this is turning into more of a generalized rant, I know. One of the things I've noticed is that there is a lot of wait time between when you pay for your book on any of these crowdfunding publications and when you actually get the book. I was thinking that, if I plunked down on, say, Cordrath, The Reckoning, that it would be headed my way by now, and I don't know when that book's actually going to be ready. I think I've been hearing about, I know Fiendish number 2 made it out, I think, but I've been hearing about other books. Of course, Cyberfrog, it's finally seeing distribution, Wrecked Planet is, but he hasn't quite reached the end of all of the I guess the second chance people with all of their shipments, because I haven't gotten mine yet. There are so many books that I've seen out there where I see the campaign pages up, but how long it's actually going to take to get those books in hand, there is so much room for the excitement to trail off that to have a company like Rippaverse, where you could potentially start cranking out issue after issue after issue until you're finally up to like what, one a month? And then even more than that? Oh my goodness. Can you imagine if he were able to get the ball rolling to that extent? Where it's actually more than one comic a month, two comics a month, even three comics a month? That would be insane. It would be an insane amount of product. And expensive as hell. Um, Although hopefully maybe not over time as he uses his success to get more leverage with his suppliers. Anyway, it's kind of a late night where I felt like rambling a little, so hopefully this hasn't been too taxing on y'all. Um, let's all say a word of thanks for Rippaverse and the online retailers getting back in cahoots again, and hopefully that wording on the website page will change soon because I see it's still up the way that it was. But yeah, it might take a little bit of doing to communicate the appropriate nuance, like, it's like, yes, we love you, my comic shop. We love you, Mile High Comics or whoever. Not you, fat, ignorant, hater who's just trying to get a retailer rate. Uh, Whatever it is that he actually meant by that by that wording, or well, but whatever he had intended to convey through the wording that was on that page that was developed by someone else. Hopefully that can get straightened out so that there's no longer any confusion. All right, I have rambled on long enough. I'm Mike Partika. Please do subscribe. Be on the lookout for my ISOM #2 reviews when they eventually, inevitably come. And hopefully I'll get my Cyberfrog 2 shipment, and I'll be able to start work on that. And other than that, I'm going to let y'all go. Y'all have a good night, and I will talk to you later.